The movement will not stop. Abi Pastor.
You see, this will of God matter. Maybe I should drop this thought so that, have you ever considered that in Romans chapter 12, the Bible seems to suggest that God doles out his will to you to the level of transformation that's happened in your mind. That means that there are certain people that God even looks at and this one is not serious about following me. So the subject of perfect will is not involved anymore. Because the Bible says, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then will you be able to test. That means that this subject of will of God, we're even talking will of God, we're talking pressure, we're talking, because if you drive this subject of the will of God if we're standing on perfect will of God, then we might have to go to the protocol of what Jesus said in Matthew 19, that Paul reiterated in 1 Corinthians 6 and 7, that certain people are not even designed to marry.
No, don't go too far. You know, Jesus, see, based on earth standard, Jesus died a failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I senior the Jesus that died. I senior him. I'm serious. My master and savior, I senior him.
So
his
he died
earth life.
premature. That's all.
He did not even marry. Even babe, Jesus could not keep. Because in the will of God, he was not a subject. So are we even ready to even find out what the will of the Lord is?
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Because if we're willing, the subject of pressure does not rise. Because the moment you bring in pressure and age, what it now means is that there is cultural influence beyond the knowledge of the will of God. And this is the real subject in this matter. While we look not at the things which are seen, but we look at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things that are not seen are eternal. Until we go back to that subject of being eternal. Some people even think that we should throw you stone now for suggesting that they are 30 and it is not yet the will of God for them to marry. So those are the places where the real discourse is. Can we get the average Christian to rest in the knowledge of God's will in spite of what outcomes are happening around their lives, especially as it has to do with societally being accepted? Like you said, if we go by the standards of societal acceptance, Jesus was a failure on many fronts. Many fronts. On almost every human front, Jesus was a failure. He didn't have as much money as we tried to portray that he had. He did not go to school. At 33, he was not married. He wasn't even discussing the subject.
Nobody to ever carry his name.
You understand?
His
There's
lineage.
nobody to bear. So his whole lineage is dead. So what exactly, my real question, and that's the strength of what you said that really blessed me. If we calculate your existence on the strength of your living on earth, living on earth is a dot in a whole ocean. So the question is, have you ever sat down? Can we ask you, who are you? And you say, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Can you take the definition of your life beyond where you are standing and what people have to say about you? Until that ends the subject of the will of God, we should wrap the subject of the will of God and throw it inside the ocean and give you worldly wisdom, devilish wisdom. Let me use the correct word. Devilish wisdom as to how to get a husband.